There is an ugly side to chasing PBs, but there doesn't have to be if you're armed with the right knowledge. You see, we're training for PBs at Berlin Marathon in September, and the goals are scary, like really scary. Because we've trained for PBs a bunch of times before, and some we've hit, and some we have spectacularly not hit. But we've learned so much, and we want to share that with you today, so that the ugly side can become the beautiful side. And here's a super special offer right now. If you write in the comments with a goal that you've got for the next 6 months, we'll give one subscriber membership to our Mess App community for those 6 months, but you have to be subscribed, and the competition will open for 1 week from the release date of this video. So share those goals and let's make them happen. You might disagree with me here, but I always felt the ugliest side of me came out when I started to get obsessed with my outcomes and goals rather than the process. When a time was my focus, I made decisions that I think are the opposite to how I really view this running thing. I start to think about performance and time and not process and joy. And that's when I know the balance has shifted and I've got to shift it back. The obsession for me started way before we got to the track, like before I ever started doing track sessions. That actually came a lot later. It was more to do, and you need to tell me if you've been doing the same thing, because I'm pretty certain 90% of you watching this will have done this. But in the first year of training, I was just obsessed with running faster in each of my sessions, thinking that if I just keep running fast, obviously eventually I'm gonna PB everything, because fast equals PB. We're about to put ourselves in the hurt locker right now, to be honest with you. But this isn't the opening bit that I wanted to talk about, because when we get here, Mary doesn't even know it yet, but I'm going to use her as the example. You know, it's actually once you stop being obsessed with running faster each time that the real, genuine obsession begins. The kind of obsession of realizing how you get training right. So dialing it back, running more slowly, and then seeing the gains happen over a longer period of time and injury-free. That's what became the addiction. But that one, that's a healthy obsession, a healthy addiction. But then we got to the track. Okay. What faster, if you do it in every single session, actually leads to is a much increased risk of injury, and it leads nowhere near PBs. It just leads to anxieties. Like if you wind yourself up into a frenzy thinking I've got to run faster each session, like how far does that go before you blow up? Okay, the session tonight is kilometer reps. We're going to do 10 lots of kilometer at threshold. And just for reference, when I did this in the Chicago training block, just towards peak fitness, I was running at around 3:30 to 3:35 a kilometer for all 10. In fact, the last one was the fastest. And the reason I'm telling you this will become apparent as I'm falling apart through this session. Okay, let's go. First rep. This is my little resting spot. Oh, dropped it. I'm actually at 6 reps now. I couldn't film, it's just too painful. All of them though have been between 3:29 and 3:31. I'm gonna say between either 3:29, 3:30, 3:31. So I'm at 6, that's pretty good. However, I think Mary's session is proving the nice point that we're trying to make. Not that I want to dig her out at all, because I'm not, like, she's really struggling. And that's the point of these, is the obsession that you can get into is, oh, I need to hit the numbers that I hit in the session I did at a different part in a different training block. And that is not how the body works, and that's not how training works. She's out, you can't see her, she's over there, like literally out on the floor. I've got to go again for my 7th rep. Rep 9. Last rep. 3:27. Oh, freak. Jeez. Louise. The pain. The cool down mode now. And this is the twist. I had a really great session. How was your session?
I crashed and burned big time.
It was a terrible session for Mary, and actually it's been me the other way. It's been the other way around, like for weeks now. I usually drop off and Mary usually gets faster throughout the session. And the point about being obsessed with times is
it can be really demotivating to think, oh, you're not hitting your times. Did you hit your times that you've been hitting in the last block when we were training for Chicago? Like today, were your splits by the end?
No.
No. And how did that feel?
Oh, it just all felt awful.
And
The first rep was fine, and then I completely fell apart.
And if you hold too tightly onto the, wait, I was this fast 8 months ago, why am I not this fast now? It can be really, really crushing. But I think where Mary's got to, I'm hoping where you've got to, is that you appreciate that you're in a different cycle, a different marathon training phase. Everything's different. Why would you be running the same speeds necessarily?
Yeah, I've got to be kind to myself. We've got a long way to go. We're pretty early in the training, and I turned up, I put in the best work I could on the day, and that's all that I can ask.
Yeah, she wasn't saying that a second ago.
Yeah, Ben just told me that to pick me up out of the gutter.
It's also tough to come to terms with the idea that if you're training for a PB, you're also about as close to injury as you are going to get. There's absolutely no right or wrong way to be a runner as long as you're committed to learning from mistakes and enjoying the process. But working towards a PB means you're going to have to go out of your comfort zone more often than not, and that might mean edging closer to injury.
But here's the thing. If you want to see what your body's capable of, you have to be at the real pointy end of all of your training. You have to push it in ways in which it could send it over the edge. And as I've said, I've been there. I'm having to be quite quiet because there's people working out behind me. And while getting injured, it is really frustrating. There's no doubting that. I would argue that playing it safe is just as frustrating because you might never know what your body's capable of. So what's the solution? Well, I want to see what my body's capable of. Obviously, I want to push it as hard as I possibly can, but I do need to find balance. I think everybody needs to find balance. So what I've got good at is learning from my mistakes very quickly. I've got good at trying to preempt any types of weaknesses by some testing. I've had all sorts of muscle tests, 3D run analysis, the works, and that way I feel like I can get in the gym, I can get out on the track, I can push my body in a safe way. I would call it calculated risks at this stage. I kind of know what my body responds well to from years and years of running, and I know what it doesn't respond particularly well to, and then I try and keep it on that knife edge because it's the only way I'm going to see what I'm capable of. It's the only way, in my opinion, I'm going to run a PB at Berlin Marathon. If I'm aiming for 2:39, I have to be willing to put myself right out there, but not so much that I get injured. That's the key, consistency. I mean, ultimately, it's risk versus reward, isn't it? But I always have this quote playing in my head. A boat in the harbour is safe, but that's not why boats were built. And I feel that way about my body. It's all right to play it safe, but at some stages, I just want to see what I'm capable of before I get too old to be capable of running super fast times and PBs. And I don't think that time is that far away, if I'm completely honest.
Have you considered the fact you're about to board an emotional roller coaster filled with highs and lows, confidence and self-doubt? You're going to question your very existence at times because progress is not a linear thing. It's messy and it's filled with hazards. Actually, I've always thought of snakes and ladders as a game that's more an accurate representation of what running progress is. So let's tackle some of the main emotions we've faced in the past.
Self-doubt is very real in my marathon training right now, and I'm quite far away from my race, but I'm still having those creeping thoughts, those doubts, like, why does my easy run feel so difficult? I'm running nowhere near my target goal pace. Why is my heart rate rising 5k into a run when I'm going to have to be able to run 42.2? All of these things are there. They question whether or not we're ever actually going to make it to where we want to be.
Here's the thing about Mary's self-doubt and my self-doubt, and probably most of your self-doubts if you're shooting for PBs, is that if you're deep in a training cycle, you shouldn't be running the times you need to ultimately run right now. You shouldn't be feeling great right now. That's the point of it. When you're breaking your body down, making it hurt, nudging and nurdling it and pushing it to its limits, you shouldn't be feeling good, and that's where the self-doubt comes in. And obviously, just even knowing that is powerful
to kind of alleviate some of the self-doubt.
Along with the self-doubt can come a lot of guilt. Like if you miss a session, you're feeling under the weather, you're exhausted, you can't quite complete what you set out to do, or the intensity or the pace you set out to do. But you've got to let that go, because that isn't going to serve you. And I experienced that myself this week. But it took Ben to convince me that it's fine to stop the session early and just to do my best with what I had on the day. So I managed to get 6. I did 12 kilometers in distance. And even after that, I was like, shall I do an extra run tomorrow to make it up? But Ben firmly told me, no, I don't need to do that, and to let it go, because this is part of training and pushing your body to its limit to reach for a really exciting and big, scary goal.
And you know, you should be tired too. You know, you shouldn't be springing through all of this training thinking this is easy. If it's easy, you're not pushing yourself hard enough. So we spend most of our life on the edge of exhaustion, trying to manage it, making sure we're staying safe, but at the same time knowing that you have to be tired, you have to be on your limit to get the best out of your body. And then when you're tired and when you're not running times that you want to be running, that is when the emotional roller coaster of self-doubt creeps in. And obviously, therefore I know that, therefore I can talk myself round.
And possibly the hardest and ugliest side of working towards a PB for me is that you are absolutely not guaranteed a PB, even if the training goes perfectly. And that's any distance. Just take Mary's perfect training cycle for the Bangkok Marathon a few years ago. It was literally to the T, no missed sessions, and then the race, it just went to the dogs. And because it's not guaranteed, even with all the work, I think maybe makes it beautiful rather than ugly.
I think that's what keeps us coming back, to be honest with you, is that on the day there is no guarantees whatsoever. Like, we've trained for PBs, or you do, or pretty much train for PBs. Nearly every run you do doesn't always have to be the same distance. Sometimes we train for 5, 10, half marathon, currently training for Berlin Marathon. But we do not know how it's going to go on the day. All we can do is skew the odds in our favour. I think it's the thing that drags you back the most, is that sometimes you fall short of your goals, but you fall in love with that process of trying to get to your goals, which is what we're doing right now, is we're just trying to hit these, what might seem quite unachievable goals right now. Do your goals feel totally achievable?
No.
No. Mine don't. Go on.
In reach and possible if I can get all the work in and the day turns out well. So it's like a high target, but hopefully I can get there.
Yeah. It's not unreachable completely, but it's scary. There's no guarantees. You know you've got to put the work in, and even then, there's no guarantees. Feels kind of nice to finish pretty much where we started 4 years ago. Do you remember this run 4 years ago? Before we move on down to Phuket. But look at this view. It's still my favourite view in all of the views in Bangkok, in all of the runs. But the message I want you to receive loud and clear is that the ugly side of chasing a PB, it doesn't have to be ugly. It can actually be viewed as a beautiful process if you're armed with the right knowledge. And it's actually a necessity. It's like, who wouldn't want to see what they're truly capable of? And if you want to see that, you're going to have to really push yourself to your limits sometimes. Not every time. So an obsession, it doesn't have to be an obsession armed with the right mindset, and neither does the fear of training on a knife's edge, because you learn so much about yourself. An emotional roller coaster is healthy, and you know what? So what? There's no guarantees. I'm addicted to the process of trying to be better every day. That's the bit I love. And I know I'm training for Berlin right now, but if you like the video, you're definitely going to like this one, which is how I took 9 minutes off of my PB, and so did Mary when we ran Chicago last year. Enjoy that, and don't forget to enter the competition. See you next week. Say bye, Mikey. Oh, I drive. I have to go around here.